going on, everybody? This is Sean of Raw Select Music, and today I want to talk about this record right here. This is J-Zone and Pablo Martin are the Du-Rites on Redefinition Records, and a little bonus right here, I'll show you this. It's on beautiful orange vinyl. So why do I want to talk about this record? I want to talk about this record because I'm a big fan of J-Zone. J-Zone is one of the more interesting characters in music right now, more interesting individuals. And I got a lot of respect for him after I read his Root for the Villain, Rat Bullshit, and a Celebration of Failure autobiography. As this book does a really, really great job of sort of showing the dark side of what it's like to be a recording artist. He details sort of the highs and lows and the eventual hiatus that he took from making music. I say this because I bring this up because I feel like this book and this record are kind of linked together. Because after the book came out, J-Zone said in multiple interviews that he wasn't sure what to do next, and he picked up the drums. And he used some of the drums that he had been practicing and put it on some of his recordings for Peter Pan Syndrome and Fish and Grits, as well as two breakbeat albums that he put out, Lunch Breaks and Backyard Breaks. But I feel like this is the sort of natural evolution of where he was going with that. That eventually he was going to get away from hip-hop altogether, which is what Fish and Grits and Peter Pan Syndrome are. They're pretty much hip-hop albums. Whereas this is more of a funk and soul record. And I'll get into the details of that. But the main thing is I want to let you know if this guy is worth buying on vinyl, streaming it, downloading it. Download it legally. Guys, stop all the downloading. Or just skipping altogether. Spoiler alert, I think it's definitely worth checking out. And I want to give you some of the good points of the record, some things that I kind of nitpicked a little bit. I'd say overall it's a generally enjoyable record. And so what do I think are like the standout highlight good points of this record? Well, first off, J-Zone's drumming on here is just absolutely fantastic. I wish I could play drums half as well as he does. I do play drums, just I have not put as much time and effort as I would like to, but that's a story for another time. J-Zone sounds fantastic on this record. You can really tell that he put some time into his craft, and not only in the way he plays, but the sound of the drums that he plays on this record. He said in multiple interviews that he really got into exploring the world of vintage drums, and it really shows because there's a real dusty, gritty, analog, warm sound to the drums on here. So it really sounds like him exploring the world of vintage drums really paid off for this record, because the drums on here just sound fantastic and really true to the sort of late 60s, early 70s sounding drums. I should also point out that Pablo Martin's playing on this record is fantastic as well, as Pablo Martin handles the majority of the melodic part of this record. Plays most of the bass, guitar, synths, keyboards, organs, and really adds the texture to this record. A really good example and a real highlight on this record is Hustle, which has almost this obscure library synthesizer electronic sound to it. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can find some of that sort of stuff on the YouTube. I'm not that old. And I really like the fact that Pablo Martin really seems to explore a lot of different sounds on here, because this is not necessarily a strict funk and soul record so much as it's a record where two musicians are sort of exploring each other's sounds through, like, funk being the sort of bed or the sort of through line of the sound of this record. I also got to give credit to Pablo Martino on here, because he does a fantastic job of really knowing when to push J-Zone, his drums in the direction that the song needs to go. And you can also tell that J-Zone's also pushing Pablo Martin too. And they do a fantastic job of playing off of each other. And also a lot of credit's got to be given to Pablo Martin, because he knows when to also give the drums a chance to shine on here too, just completely dropping out. Because I feel like there's a lot of people who, and myself included in the instances where I've tried to get other people to do sort of retro funk music with people, they don't understand that space on a lot of songs makes all the difference. And Pablo Martin knows when to drop out and give J-Zone the opportunity to shine on this record. So, with all that being said, I have to say I've got a couple of little nitpicks about this. So, none of them are deal breakers, by the way. I still really enjoy this record. I still have been listening to it a lot recently. But I do have some things that I feel like maybe keep this album from being great. It's a good record, but it could be a great record. And I'd say that a lot of this album feels like these songs were born out of jams, which isn't bad necessarily, but it feels like some of these are just unfinished ideas. They've got a good groove to them. There's some interesting sounds and some interesting textures. Like I said, neither musician is a slouch, and they play off of each other really, really well. But some of these ideas feel like they could have been either a little bit longer, or there could have been a little bit more dimension to it. One thing this is a personal nitpick, and this is not really anything towards the quality of the music on here, is I feel like J-Zone should have been given a little bit more of a chance to shine, in the sense that I feel like some of the drum breaks could have been a little bit more open, could have been a little bit longer. At least that's what I would want from a record like this. There are definitely some drum breaks on here, but none of them are really as long as I'd like them to be. But aside from that, I also gotta say that there's just that there needs to some of the again, a lot of ideas are explored on here, but I don't feel like they're explored as fully as they can be, and I can't really explain this any further without you having heard the record. Because I think if you hear it, you'll kind of understand where I'm going with this. That being said, and to turn this around back into a positive, I think this album actually shows a lot of promise as well. But because it's not a strict funk revivalist record, and they explore, like I said, a lot of different sounds on here, that I think the upcoming album that they've got this year may flesh some of the ideas that they had on here out in the next release. So there's a lot of promise in this sound. It's just that the sound isn't quite there yet. So, all that being said, it's still a fun listen. It's still, I still recommend it. I'd give it a stream it to high download recommendation. If you streamed it and you like it, I definitely recommend picking it up on vinyl and listening to it, because there's definitely some stuff on here that I will find myself playing out in a DJ set or putting on a DJ mix in the future. And yeah, I think that's all I've got to say about this guy. This is, again, J-Zone and Pablo Martin are the Du-Rites. If you've listened to this record, let me know what you think. Comment down below. If you want to hear the record for yourself, I'm going to put a stream of the album in my WordPress blog, so you can check it out for yourself. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think about this review. I'm going to be doing more reviews in the future. Let me know what you want me to talk about. And yeah, I don't know how to end these, so thanks again for watching, and yeah, see you in the next video.